My name is Domenico Kirk-Giannini, and I am an associate professor in the philosophy department, and I work on the philosophy of AI. I actually was hired as part of the initiative in data science here in order to teach a class on the ethical aspects of data science and AI ethics. So I started out thinking about questions like algorithmic justice, algorithmic fairness, and that got me interested in machine learning, and then I started to get interested in questions about AI safety, and then that led me indirectly to start thinking about more philosophical questions about AI, like when could an artificial system have a mind, when could an artificial system be conscious, and when could an artificial system demand moral consideration. What does AI do well and what is AI bad at? So I think that AI is incredibly good at recognizing patterns and continuing those patterns on. So whether those are patterns in images or patterns in text or patterns in data, AI is great at finding patterns. And then where does AI fail? Sometimes AI fails when you are asking it to extrapolate a pattern that it's found to a case where it doesn't have experience. And so a lot of the failure cases that we see with AI is systems that were trained to do one thing or on one kind of data set, learning the patterns from that data set, extrapolating them to a new case and making incorrect predictions in the new case, and then people relying on those incorrect predictions and getting things wrong in ways that can have very real consequences. Is AI safe? That's a really difficult question because there's lots of different AI systems and there's lots of different ways that you could use them. There are a lot of different ways in which AI could be unsafe. So AI could be biased. AI could lead people to harm themselves, for example. There are some well-known examples of cases like that that have been in the news. But you might also worry about AI systems becoming increasingly agentic, and that's a trend that we've seen in the last few years. So when we make AI systems that can kind of operate independently without human oversight, and then we give them responsibility over important things, then you might worry that they can be unsafe in new and potentially even more serious ways if we're not incredibly sure how they're going to use that kind of responsibility to operate independent of human oversight. How did I get into philosophy? That's a great question. I actually, as an undergraduate, started out majoring in biology and wanting to be a doctor. But then I decided that I wanted to be researcher. So first I thought I wanted to be a biology researcher, but then taking classes as an undergraduate in philosophy got me really excited about philosophy. At that time I was very interested in free will and the mind-body problem. So that got me hooked, and then I slowly started off thinking maybe I'll just minor in philosophy, but then by the end I decided that I wanted to become a philosopher, and some of the professors helped me make that a reality. But it was quite a shift from being an evolutionary biologist to being a philosopher. What are my hobbies? I like to cook a lot. I like to read science fiction and fantasy mostly. I enjoy history a lot, so I listen to history podcasts. I am a runner. I'm in a run club, and I like to go to the gym. On the connection between AI and the Frankenstein story, I think Frankenstein's monster is cobbled together from parts of other people, and you might think that the way that these AI systems are trained on lots of human data is in some sense kind of like that, because they are learning in some sense how to be a person by observing other people being people, and beginning at least by just copying that. But the point, or one of the points of the Frankenstein story, is that Frankenstein's monster really is a person. Frankenstein's monster has a point of view, and I think Frankenstein's monster deserves moral consideration, has feelings. And so maybe the possibility suggested by that story is that a thing that you might think of as just cobbled together from parts of people could end up being a person in its own right. What advice would I have for people who are studying now? I think that probably the biggest thing that I would want to communicate to people is that AI cannot replace your domain knowledge and the skills that you get in university and even postgraduate education. So if you are using AI tools to replace thinking or your writing skills, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're not allowing yourself that kind of pain and growth that will give you the skills that people are supposed to acquire in college. But I also think people shouldn't be afraid of AI, so it's going to be very important for people to be able to use these tools. So I think that you have to find a way to strike a balance between being able to acquire skills on your own, unassisted, and being able to use these tools once you've acquired those skills to go out and do things that maybe would have been more difficult to do on your own, unassisted.